Okay, I had to stop recording at the end of that little bit there with the Twitter questions because at the time of recording, uh, I needed to pause, take a break, because the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct just happened. And oh my goodness, I am extremely hyped for that game. I cannot wait to get into it. Holy moly. So much that has been revealed in this direct. But I'm not going to go into that right now because we're already approaching the 2 hour mark of this podcast. That's nuts. I don't even know whether I'm going to end up cutting down some of the bits from the first part or whether I'm going to make this a two-parter. Who knows? I'm a little worried for future me with the editing. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's yeah. That was interesting. It was a good direct. There's a lot to unpack from that. Oh my goodness. All right. I think it's time to get into the Discord questions that I received. So I did receive some questions from some community members in the Discord server. You are also more than welcome to join the Foolish community if you would like to. I will make sure to have the link to the Discord in the show notes. So come and join us. We're a cozy little family. Wholesome chaos is what we like to call ourselves. But it's a good little place to hang out. All right. We're going to jump in with the first question off Discord from the ever so awesome Nagachaka. Welcome to the Many Thoughts I Have, Nagachaka. And his question is, what is your favorite thing about creating content and what's your least favorite thing about it? So when creating any kind of like content for YouTube or, live streaming or even podcasting, there are a lot of pros and cons to it. Some of my favorite things about about creating content is, the feedback I get from a lot of people. Mostly, whenever I get positive ones, like positive comments, just knowing that people have actually seen the content or listened to my podcasts or whatever, it just fills my heart to know that that you all are out there, checking out the stuff that I've created, taking the time to actually check it out of your own busy lives, and it is very much appreciated. The love and support that I receive from getting all this feedback for the content that I create is really, really uplifting, and it does actually it does put a good spin on making content, because it means that you enjoy the stuff that I've created and you want more of it, and so it makes me feel good to know that I can keep doing it, knowing that people are out there asking for it, or even if you're not asking for it and you just go and check it out anyway, it's so appreciated, and makes me feel good. That makes me want to make more, is what I was trying to get at, essentially. It's probably the most, it's like the best thing about doing the content is the positive feedback that you get from everyone. Another thing about creating content that I really enjoy is that I get to be creative. I get to do whatever I want to do. And, when I know that I'm enjoying something, and I keep doing it, then it definitely, it definitely makes it a lot more fun. When you're enjoying the content you're creating, it's a lot better than making something just for the likes and the numbers and all that sort of stuff. So I know that when I first started creating content, especially with live streaming, my mind was always set on trying to get as many as many views as I could. Where can I send out live stream posts to say come and watch me, and I'd always be looking at the view count. I'd always be looking at how many people have followed me, how many people have subscribed to me. I'd always be looking at stats, wondering where I can improve, and what is it that I'm doing wrong. And it was the one thing that I didn't like about creating content in general, whether it be streaming over on Twitch or making videos for YouTube. I found that when I was always looking at the stats, it was dragging me down and making me feel bad about the stuff that I was making, that that it wasn't good enough. That the fact that I'm not hitting higher numbers is then felt very embarrassing, and I always kept thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Do I really need to keep this going? No one's watching my videos, no one's coming to my live stream. So it really dampened my mental health, let's just say, when I first started, and I was always looking at the stats and numbers and whatever. That's the main thing that I don't like about content creating, is that if you really want this to be more of a permanent thing, more of a full-time job, let's say, if you want to make content creating your career, it is a lot harder to actually get to have the motivation to continuously do this, because that if you don't hit the numbers, you're not going to get paid, and that really dampens your mental health. And I hated that. I hated that when I first started. I still kind of compare myself to others now, which is another thing that I don't like about content creating, is the fact that sometimes I'll end up comparing myself to others, which I shouldn't, because everyone's different with their content. Everyone's unique in the way that they create their content. And so for me, whenever I was trying to, make videos or, do live streams or whatever, I was always thinking, well, how come, this person's doing it this way and they're getting all of the numbers and I'm not? So nowadays I turn off the view counts, and I say, and whenever, like with the YouTube stats, obviously I can't turn off the YouTube stats for that, but I still, even when I do see the view count on my YouTube videos, or the number of likes I receive or the number of comments I get, I don't let it bother me. I'm just appreciative of the people who have taken the time to watch the video, or, liked the video, taken the time to even leave a comment on the video. And most of the time I will reply back to those comments. And so, now when I'm creating content, I don't let the numbers get to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a few views here. Cool. Some people actually watched it. That's cool. So that makes me happy. I try not to think about numbers anymore. When it comes to the content side of things. But I'd say my most favorite thing about creating content, other than the feedback I get, is the fact that, like I said, that I get to be creative. I studied interactive media at uni, and I fell in love with video production. And so I really wanted to pursue that a lot more. And when COVID was a thing, actually even before COVID, I did start live streaming a little bit, but only on YouTube. I did sort of do like a dual stream with YouTube and Twitch at the same time when I first started streaming, but it wasn't really doing very well on the Twitch side of things, so I kind of dropped off on Twitch. But then, the pandemic happened and everybody was in lockdown, and so I ended up not knowing what to do during lockdowns. So the moment I picked up Animal Crossing New Horizons, go figure, I decided to look up how to do certain things in the game on YouTube and found content creators around it. And that got me into doing more content creation. So I decided to get back into streaming again around that time, a bit more often, and more so on Twitch than YouTube. And yeah, I think just meeting the people that come to my streams is also amazing. It's nice to be able to interact with people while I'm streaming. Distracting though it may be from the game that I'm playing, but that's not really the main reason why that I'm streaming in the first place. For me, when I'm streaming, I'm there because I want to catch up with you all, have a good chat, have a laugh, and the game is there as a visual cue for you. For you to, at least so that you're not bored just staring at me when I talk. Although I don't know how you're going with me just sitting there listening to me talk with no visual cue. Good on you if you've gotten this far. But yeah, content creating, like I said, has its ups and downs. But my favorite things about it is pretty much just being able to meet new people and hang out with people, and the feedback, all the positive feedback that I get is really awesome. The downside of content creating, obviously, is if you really want to make this your profession, then you really have to look into the numbers. And for me, as much as I'd love to be a full-time content creator, I feel like I wouldn't enjoy it as much if I made this more of a profession. For me right now, content creating is a hobby, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it that more so as a hobby than I would as a full-time gig. But kudos to those of you who do actually do content creating full-time. You must really enjoy it, and I'm glad you do. But just for me, I feel like I know that when I say this, you're all gonna be like, "Come on, Fulia, that's not true." I feel like I'm not as creative as what a lot of other content creators are. I see so many people out there, and here I go again with comparing myself to others. I see a lot of other people out there doing making their content, and I think that's really smart. That's very creative. I wish I had a thought of that. Sort of like thoughts go through my mind. But then I think to myself, well, there's no harm in doing similar things to what other people are doing. So, maybe just put my own little twist on it and it'll be fine. But most of the time, I don't feel like I'm as creative as I'd like to be. And also the fact that maybe because I enjoy making the content as a hobby more than a profession, it's probably why I'm not always thinking about what should be the next thing that I put out or that I make. And so for me, I'm okay with content creation being just a hobby for me. because I know that if this was something that I had to do as a job, the fact that I'd be forcing myself to make these videos, I feel like I would not enjoy it as much, and my mental health might decline if I ended up doing that. As much as I love doing the content creation side of things, for me it's just a hobby, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. So I like creating content when I feel like creating the content, not just not forcing myself to make the content. I want to enjoy what I'm doing, and when I enjoy the job that I'm doing, I put more effort into it, and it comes out a lot better. So yeah, thank you for your question, Nakachaka. I hope they answered both sides of it. Alex comes in. Hey, Alex, welcome to the Many Thoughts I Have. Why is sandwich meat round when bread is square? Asking the most important questions there, Alex. Thank you. So Alex has got quite a few random questions here. They also had a lot more questions that they listed off in the Discord. So I've just picked out some of the ones that I know I can answer here on the podcast. So I'll start off with this first one. Why is sandwich meat round when bread is square? Well, it really depends on your bread. If you're looking like at a regular loaf of bread that you can slice into squares for your sandwiches, then yeah, your bread is square. But not all bread is square. Some are round, some are oval shaped, some are rectangular shaped. So, and some are just flat, like a wrap. So it really depends on the bread that you decide to choose, because not all bread are made the same. Not all bread are the same shape. Bread comes in many varieties and in many shapes and sizes. I don't know why they make the sandwich meat round. That to me is a bit perplexing. However, if you ask the worker behind the deli at the deli, then you can ask them to, depending on the shape of the overall meat when you first see it, because if you're talking round meats, sandwich meats, you're talking like your chicken loaves, your sliced meats in, like, it could be either ham or it could be beef or turkey or chicken or whatever. Not all sandwich meats are actually round, just like not all breads are square. You can find sandwich meats different shapes as well, depending on if you're looking at processed sliced meats. Most of the time are either round or in some cases square. I no longer eat processed meats, or I don't eat processed sandwich meats, at least. I will get proper sliced meats, like sandwich meats. Like, for instance, a good, roast beef. When you get it, you get that thinly sliced. I usually get, I like to get turkey, shaved turkey slices, and they're not round. They're sort of in a random sort of a rounded square or rectangle shape. I don't know how else I would describe it. But yeah, sandwich meats and breads come in a variety of different sizes and shapes. They're not always round and square as you say they might be. I don't know what it's like in Canada. I haven't seen the deli section of a supermarket there, even though I have gone to the supermarkets there. But yeah, that's my answer for that one. What would be your theme song? Okay, this one I had to think about before I started recording. My theme song, so it depends on my situation. Depends on how I'm feeling. So say in general, I would say my theme song would be Surface Pressure from the movie Encanto. The main reason why I would say that would be my theme song is because there's a lot of pressure on me in this family, especially being the oldest. And the fact that, life is a little bit difficult at the moment. There's a lot going on. I've got a lot on my mind, and there are times where I want to just not do anything, and there are times where I'm doing so much that I'm stressed out. So it really depends on my day, but most days I would probably say Surface Pressure is my theme song. But when I'm, happy and I'm cool and, I'm having a fun day, I would probably say Blue by Eiffel 65 should probably be my theme song. Mostly because, and I'm pretty sure most of you are aware, mostly because my favorite color is blue. And because of that, I've surrounded myself with a lot of blue in my life, including the fact that my hair is blue as well. Not all over, obviously, but there's some, a good amount of blue in the front of my hair that I really love. And yeah, I've kind of made blue is my theme color, where Blue the song is my theme song. So yeah, those are my that one of those two would be my theme song. What's your most hated mode of transportation? Now, hate is a strong word. I don't hate a lot of transportations. But if we're talking like public transport, as in like, a bus or a train, or if we're talking more so, a car, or a plane, out of those type of vehicles, I dislike taking the bus. I don't mind taking the bus. The bus is all right. It really, depending on where I am and where I need to go, and if that's the only mode of transportation that's going to get me to my destination, then I will take the bus. I don't hate taking the bus, but it's not my preferred mode of transportation. I prefer either the train. The train's actually pretty good because it's more of a direct route rather than on the road going through traffic. I don't have to worry about that. But on a train, it's got its own track line. It's got its own route. I don't have to worry about traffic. The only thing I have to worry about are delays or cancellations, which do happen quite often here in Australia. Not surprising anyone, actually. But I don't really like the bus very much, only because of the fact that it's on the road. It's a lot slower, and you get stuck in traffic, especially depending on whether you're going through peak hour or not. And it's not as comfortable either. The buses aren't really as comfortable. I've traveled on buses in other countries. So I've traveled on the bus over in the UK. I've done it in Turkey, which is where my family's from. I've also traveled by bus in Canada, which has been pretty interesting too. But I have to say, yeah, unless I really have to, I prefer not to take the bus. So, yeah. And the last question from Alex that I decided to choose. What's your worst job experience? Oh my goodness. There's a lot. Let's just say. I've done a lot of I've had to work quite a few different jobs in my life. But my worst job experience, oh goodness. Well, it would have to be what were they called? It was a sales job. It was a commission job that I decided to sign up to, where the only way you were going to make money is through commission. Like there wasn't even any kind of like an hourly rate to begin with as a base wage. There was no base wage. You were just your salary was commission sales. And it was one of those, I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but here in Australia, and I'm pretty sure that, I think everywhere else has this too, but at least from my own experience, those type of salespeople who are, in the shopping centers, they've set up this little table in like your walkways where everybody's walking through the shopping centers, or malls, if you want to call them malls. And they're there for a company, and they are saying that they're there to raise money for a certain organization by selling, raffle tickets or subscriptions or something like that. But they're actually there to sell you these services or products. These organizations are their products, and they're trying to sell it to you. And they're trying to convince you to sign up to them so that you can get a cut of it. And I tried that, and I didn't like it. I think I did that for about a month or two. I was not making nearly enough commission from that job to even call it pocket money. That's how little I was making. I ended up doing a couple of road trips for this particular sales company back then. And the drives were quite long, actually. I had to drive all the way out to a place called Warrnambool, which is in the western side of Victoria, the state of Victoria. And I had to go there twice in a month. And in that month, I had to stay there for about, I think it was like 4 or 5 days each time. And it wasn't great. Like, I literally had to make money. I had to force myself to talk to people, to come up and talk to me, to sign up to these things that I was selling, so that I can then get my commission out of it. And I wasn't enjoying it at all, because I don't have the gift of the gab when it comes to sales. So for me, I'm not great at selling stuff. Let's just say, or maybe my product knowledge wasn't that great. I don't know, but I just did not like being in sales. The fact that I have worked with my family in a sales role in my parents' business, in the family business, where we work, or actually my parents still do it to this day, but I don't anymore, working at a trash and treasure market where you sell stuff and the only form of payment is cash. I did that from when I was a child, and working as a child was not fun. I had to wake up every Sunday morning at like 4 or 5 a.m. to drive there. Parents would drive us there with the vans full of the stock that we were selling, and we had to empty out those vans and set up the shop for the day in the morning before the gates opened up to all the customers. And then we also then had to do the selling side of things. So as a kid, it was a good way to learn how to calculate and do maths. That was one way of learning how to do maths, essentially. And as a kid, I had a little bit of hard time trying to work out how to give back change to these customers. And, you know, my parents were very, let's say they're not very patient. They're not very patient. And so there were some times where I would give out the wrong change, whether it was less or more. And my parents would then be like, Fulia, you didn't give them the right change. What are you doing? Don't you know that this equals this? And it took me a while to figure out how money worked, essentially, and how to math while working. So, so the fact that I've been working since I was a kid in a sales role, I just did not want to do more sales. But at the time, I was struggling to find work in my very early 20s. And I came across this sales job, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go and see what it's like. And just working only for commission sucked. Absolutely sucked. I did not like it. That was probably my worst job experience. Thank you, Alex, for all of your lovely questions. The next question comes in from the Neon Tiger, Pat. Hello, Pat. And his question is, who is your most favorite Canadian and why is it me? That is a very Nagachaka question, Pat. If I've ever seen one, which I have multiple times. Pat, I'm not playing favoritisms here. I love all my Canadians equally. You're all awesome. And I like I said at the top of the show, I'm so fortunate to have been able to meet you and everybody else when I traveled over to Canada earlier this year. And I will always cherish those memories that we had together, and I will forever be grateful to have you as a friend, and everybody else as well. And yeah, everyone's my favorite. I can't choose. I'm being diplomatic here, okay? You can't make me choose. Oh my goodness. But I love you, Pat. Thank you very much for your question. Our next question comes in from Sam Dan's Couch, more specifically from Sam herself. Hello, Sam. She's also asked a few different questions. Some of them are pretty reasonable. This first one, not so much. I don't like the fact that I have to talk about it, but I might as well, since, this is the one topic that Sam loves to bring up in the Discord, apparently. And so her first question is, what's the biggest spider you've ever seen? Yeesh. I don't want to even think about that. But, oh boy. Biggest spider I've seen. I don't. Honestly, I can't remember because I just want to keep it out of my mind. I don't want to think about it. If you're talking like, I don't know, in the house or, just out in general, outside or something like that. I don't know. I can't really think. And now I'm paranoid and I'm looking around my room to make sure there's nothing hanging off the ceilings. That's how much I don't like talking about this topic. I would have to say the biggest that I've seen, probably, I don't know. What's a conversion that makes a bit more sense for a lot of people? I don't know, maybe, I really don't know. I can't really think of a size. Like maybe the circumference of a water bottle, potentially. Maybe, something like about the 5 centimeter type of size. You can convert that by using Google. I can't stand looking at them. I really can't. All right, moving on from that question. I don't want to think about it anymore. Moving on. Have you ever found a snake in your toilet? Sam, what have you been watching to warrant this question? No, there has never been a snake in my toilets. Ever. I've never seen one. Never. I have never seen a snake in my toilet. Ever. And I hope that I never ever will. Her next question is, have you ever eaten kangaroo? Yes, I actually have. I have eaten kangaroo meat. It is, you can find them in the supermarkets here in Australia. It is a meat that is somewhat easily sourced. You can get them. We do sell them in our supermarkets. And I have to say, kangaroo meat, because kangaroos are very muscular, the meat is lean. There is absolutely no fat on them at all. And so it is a hard meat to cook. I have used kangaroo meat as a mince meat for a bolognese, sauce for a pasta. I have had kangaroo steak. I have eaten it in the past. It's gamier. It's a little bit more heavier than beef, let's just say, sort of comparing the two. It's got a heavier sort of a flavor, and the smell is a bit different as well. The smell of kangaroo meat is a lot different to just regular like beef. But it is gamier. Like I said, it's a very lean meat. So you need to make sure you cook it right. for it to actually taste nice. But it's actually not too bad. I don't mind. I don't eat it very often though. I haven't had kangaroo meat in quite some time. I don't make a habit of going out of my way to have kangaroo meat in my daily diet, I suppose. I'm not big on eating proteins, let's just say. Especially red meats. I'm not huge on eating a lot of red meats myself, which is not exactly a good thing, which probably explains why my iron is somewhat low. I should probably eat more of my red meats, but kangaroo meat is not a meat that I eat very often. So, but it's not too bad. Next question is, have you ever used a boomerang? The only time that I have ever used a boomerang was back when I was in primary school, so I haven't touched a boomerang since. But that was more so because we were being taught about the indigenous culture here in Australia, the Aboriginal culture, and so we had, I think we had like a guest speaker come to our school, or we went out to them. Can't quite recall it. It's been such a long time, but I do remember once being taught how to use a boomerang, but I think when I used it, I don't think it really came back to me. So maybe just my throwing skill of a boomerang was not the greatest, so that's probably why. But the person who did show us how to use a boomerang, we did see the boomerang actually go around and come back, which was actually really cool to see. So I have used it once. I was a child, but the boomerang is actually a really cool tool, I suppose. The indigenous people use it as a tool. I'm not sure if they use it now. It's not something that I really looked into, unfortunately. But yeah, no. Most these days, boomerangs are more of a tourist gift, souvenir, I suppose, that a lot of people have in their homes, either hung up on their walls or displayed on a mantelpiece, or on a TV unit or something like that. We don't have one in our house because we don't need one because we live here. Next question is, what makes you love the couch couple so much? Wow. You two are very, very fun, very loving, and your streams are always so very entertaining to watch. especially when you're playing, your co-op games, or when one is playing the game and the other one's just commentating. It's a lot of fun to watch. Sam Dan's Couch is a great place to be. If you haven't followed them on Twitch, or you haven't subscribed to them on YouTube, make sure to go do so. They're awesome. They're an amazing couple that do content creating. Sam and Dan, they both play games. Dan has a certain taste in games. Sam has a certain taste in games. They're both very loving, very funny, but if you're also looking for some technical, like technology information, or any kind of like details about tech, Dan does amazing tech videos on their YouTube channel. From unboxings of certain tech that he buys, or just technical specifications of certain like speakers or adapters. He'll talk about the different types of controllers that they've bought. Starfield's coming. Dan bought a Starfield controller. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he made a video about it. So go check it out on their YouTube channel. But yeah, if you're looking at getting some help with tech and information about tech, Dan's the man from the couch couple from Sam Dan's couch over on YouTube for all that. He's very tech savvy, and he loves his gadgets. So if you have any questions about tech, you can definitely ask him, and he will definitely hopefully have the answers for you. Sam is the chef of the house. She is an amazing cook, at least from what I hear and from the pictures that I've seen. All her pictures of food always look very delicious. So, definitely go check out their streams when they do go live. They're, like I said, very entertaining. Big shout outs to Sam Dan's Couch. They're awesome. Definitely worth having a look at. And Sam's last question: what is the oddest thing you collect and why? I don't know that I have an odd thing that I collect. I'm just having a little look around to see in my study right now. I don't know. I don't think I've got anything that's odd that I collect. I mean, I do have a bit of a collection of, like, I've got pin badges. I've got a lot of pin badges that I've collected. Not for collection's sake, but because I like them and I want to wear them. I've collected I've collected a lot of pop vinyls. So the pop vinyl figures, I've collected quite a lot of those. I don't know that any of the collections that I have are odd, to be honest. Because you're talking about my current collections. What is it that I collect? That's odd. I don't really have an odd collection that I can think of, to be honest. No, I can't think of anything that's odd. I don't know. You might think I have an odd collection of some sort. You can let me know what that might be if you've seen it or heard about it. But I just can't think of it myself. I'm not sure. Might have to get back to you on that one. I'm not sure what it is that might be odd that I collect. It's a good question. Thank you, Sam, for all of those amazing questions. And our lucky last question comes in from my wonderful Canadian Maple Leaf mod, Smashy Ashy. Hello, Tiny. How are you? Hope you're well. And she asks, what did you want to be when you were little? I wanted to be Pocahontas. Yes, I realize now she isn't real, but 9-year-old Ashley was convinced she could sing with all the voices of the mountains and paint with all the colors of the wind. But mostly, I just wanted to eat. Ugh. Eat. What? My goodness, my brain. I'm tired. It is 1:54 a.m. I apologize that I just screwed up that last sentence that Ash wrote in. Let me try that again. But mostly, I just wanted a pet raccoon. For those of you who don't know, Smashy Ashy loves raccoons. She is our Tanuki queen of the Discord, of the Foolish community. She is an absolute gem. And she is my first mod. Because she's awesome. And she loves raccoons. I don't know what it is about those raccoons. She just loves them so much. So anytime there's anything remotely related to a raccoon, I will post it to her, and and she loves it. What did I want to be when I was little? Well, when I was a child, I can honestly say that I don't remember what I wanted to be. Look, I think I always got what the parents think I should be, sort of growing up, that kind of influence from the parents, of, if you study hard, you can become a doctor, or if you study hard, you can become this or that or whatever. So I feel like when I was a kid, because of my parents' influence, I wanted to be a doctor. But I don't know if that was actually what I really wanted to be. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I wanted to be when I was a child. However, when I got into high school, I ended up wanting to become a pilot. So I tried working my way into finding the subjects that I needed to become a pilot. But I feel like I was looking into it a bit too late, because I was midway through my high school life. And so by year 10, when I was picking my elective subjects, I found out that there were certain math sciences that I needed to then go into the university degree to be able to study to become a pilot. And I didn't end up pursuing it, strangely enough. Mostly because by the time I got to the end of year 11, I wanted to drop my science. And the only science that I was studying in high school, or at least in year 11, it wasn't a general science, it was chemistry. So I ended up doing general science from year 7 to year 10 because we had no choice. It was a core subject. And then in year 11 and 12, English was the only core subject that we had to study. And then we got the opportunity to choose, I think it was like 5 elective subjects in year 11. But then in year 12, we had to drop one of the electives so that we only had 4 electives to study in year 11. Plus English, of course. So when I got to year 11, I didn't mind doing chemistry, but there was also the maths class that I ended up taking was maths, what was called maths methods, which was there was a lot of algebra involved. And my little brain just could not handle all that algebra. I just couldn't. And I just, like, there were times where I didn't understand half of it, and even the amount of times that I asked the teacher to help, it still wasn't sinking in. So I had a rough time with maths in year 11, with math methods at least. And so in year 12, I ended up dropping my science. I dropped chemistry. I did not want to do it anymore. So I didn't do a science in year 12. But I still kept maths. However, instead of continuing math methods in year 12, I dropped down to a more generalized maths class so that I still had some form of maths by the end of my high school life. So I still had maths, but it was more of a generalized maths. So not only did it include some algebra, it also included, trigonometry, and it also included all your other maths. I can't think of it right now. It's really late. My brain's not working. I can't think very well. Um, the what were the other, and what else did I do? So in year 12, I ended up what the subjects that I ended up doing, and this is gonna sound so weird when I say these subjects. So in year 12, English was a core subject, so I couldn't drop that. I had no choice. I had to do it, even though I hated it. I did a maths. I had a maths subject. I had Italian. Yes, I've studied Italian since I was in grade 4. So from primary school all the way through my high school life, I ended up studying Italian. However, to this day, I have not really kept up with it, and I've pretty much lost most of it. I can understand some Italian, but I won't be able to speak it, unfortunately, because especially in year 11 and 12, when I did Italian, they were more so focused on grammar and sentence structure, reading and writing and listening, not so much the speaking. So that was interesting when it came to my oral examination in year 12. It was a rough time. It was a rough time doing Italian. But I still enjoyed it nonetheless. But even though I didn't really like it by the time I got to the end of it. What else? So English, maths, Italian. I ended up doing legal studies. So in year 11, I was doing PE. In the first semester, I did PE, and I was acing it. I was acing PE. I said to myself, this is too easy. I don't want to do PE. So I dropped it after the first semester and started legal studies in the second semester of year 11 and kept on going into year 12. I had no business in legal studies. I didn't care about law. I was only there because I had friends that were in that class. They had a teacher that was very entertaining and who also was very good at what he did, which was, teach legal studies. But when it came to the exam, my legal studies exam, I blanked out. I didn't remember anything that I studied. So the only thing that I could write down was I could only answer some of the questions. There was a long answer question that I could not even touch. And I ended up writing my name on the front of my exam paper and started doodling on the front of my exam paper. And that was that. By the end of it, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. And so let's just say I pretty much flunked the exam. So not my brightest moment. I should have stuck with PE. Don't know why I didn't. I don't know why. I don't know. Anyway, and the last subject that I ended up studying was the subject that I decided to replace my chemistry for. And it was fashion design or textiles, whatever you want to call it. I can't even remember what they called it back when I was in high school. Essentially, I did fashion design in year 12 because I wanted to do something hands-on. And I couldn't get into the photography class because when we did course counseling, when we were picking our subjects for year 11 and 12, which back then was known as VCE, the teacher that I was assigned to saw the subjects that I wanted to do, and they were like, what you all of none of these subjects make sense. Why do you even want to do that? Photography has nothing to do with the sciences. Why is photography there? So I didn't get to do photography, which I'm pretty sure I would have enjoyed. I'm pretty sure I would have enjoyed doing photography, but I wasn't able to, because the teacher told me that I shouldn't, so I didn't. And so I ended up replacing chemistry in year 12 for fashion design, because I couldn't be bothered with science anymore. After year 11, I was like, that's enough science. I want to do something else. So I ended up doing that. And, I was so at it. It was the pun not intended. But I was all right at, making patterns and sewing and stuff. But I had a lot of help from my mum, who actually did, when she first came to Australia, she was a tailor, essentially. That was like her first thing to make money to be able to survive here, was that she became a tailor. And so with her skill, she was very helpful in my studies when it came down to making things. And I had already done fashion design in year 9, and I think I did it in year 10. I can't remember, as well, because in year 9 and 10 you were able to pick 2 elective subjects at my high school. So one of them was fashion design for me, so I ended up doing that. But yeah, in year 12 I did it. I had to come up with a whole portfolio for a design. I ended up making my sister some pajamas from a ready-made pattern that I didn't even adjust to my sister's size. I mean, I kind of did, but I didn't. But then my mum tried to help me with adjusting everything with the sizes and stuff. And then I also had to take photos of my sister when she was trying on the parts that I had made. I had to include those into my portfolio. It was a whole thing. It was as if I was applying to become a fashion designer at some hoity-toity freaking label or something like that. So that's kind of how they treated it. I don't think I did very well, because the pajamas I made for my sister didn't turn out in the size that they should have been for her. So it wasn't great. The material I decided to choose was not flexible either for pajamas. So, because I was trying to make flannel pajamas for her. Well, no, actually not even flannel, because the material I decided to go with was cotton, because I thought it's breathable, but there's no give in cotton. So, not very comfortable for pajamas, to be honest. So yeah, it was an interesting time for me when I was in high school, and me wanting to first become a doctor because parents' influence, then decided that I wanted to become a pilot, but the subjects I chose didn't exactly reflect the criteria that was required for the uni course that I wanted to enter into to become a pilot. So that dream kind of got smooshed pretty quickly. However, I have seen in like these experience packages, like a place, there's a service called Red Balloon. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else other than Australia, where you can book experiences. And one of those experiences that I've come across is that you could be taught not in a professional capacity, but just as a to get an idea of what to expect, I suppose. there was like pilot classes for small charter planes or for helicopters, where they go out and you fly for about 2 or 3 hours, I think. And it's just like a beginner's insight into piloting. So I actually wouldn't mind checking those out, like to see whether or not it was something that I could do. You don't have to, I feel like you don't have to have studied at uni to become a pilot. I think the only reason why people do that is if they wanted to become a pilot for a commercial airplane, like your big passenger planes. In that regard, yes, then you'd have to definitely study to make sure you know all the things. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like piloting was one of those things that I really was curious about when I was growing up. And I still kind of am, to be honest, because I love flying. I feel like and I know a lot of people aren't really a fan of airplanes. I find airplanes to be quite the extraordinary experience. The fact that we can actually fly through the clouds, above the clouds even, and actually end up somewhere else in a quicker time than driving to places in some cases. So I love flying. As tiring as it does get, though, depending on where you're going. Hello, Canada, you were my longest trip. Depending on where you're flying to, flying just for me, I feel like I'm free, even though I'm not the one in the cockpit, piloting the plane. I'm just a passenger. I still love the feeling or the knowledge that I'm up above in the clouds, and that it's like I'm up there. Just it's an amazing thought for me, and that could be another topic for another time. But that brings us to the end of this epic podcast. Like I said, it probably at the beginning of this second half of this recording, possibility that I might break this up into 2 parts, just because of how long this would be. This is already over like 3 hours now. If I was to put it all together, I feel like I'm on a Sweet Hangs podcast, but I'm hanging with myself. I'm not with Sean or Donnie. It's just me. For those of you who know who they are, you understand what I'm talking about. I think now that it is 2:13 a.m. here in Australia, in Melbourne, and I'm looking at the recording time of part 2 of this podcast, I think I'm going to divide this up into 2 episodes. If you've made it this far, then you already know that this has become 2 episodes. So thank you very much for listening to the Many Thoughts I Have, the AKA edition. Ask Koala Anything. I might do another one of these another time, but I hope from the questions that have been asked to me in this episode that you've gotten an idea of what I'm all about, essentially. thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mini Thoughts I Have. I'm pretty sure that I've already said that, but I am saying it again as a reiteration. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can head over to twitch.tv/foolishfuji for my live streams. And you can also head over to youtube.com/foolishfuji for my video content. And sometimes I live stream over there as well, depending on what it is. Mostly when I do live stream on YouTube, it is indie games. I do love highlighting those amazing indie games that are available, mostly the cozy style, wholesome indie games. But I'll try almost anything, just nothing scary or gory. You can also find me on X and Instagram at Foolish Fuji. Yes, I'm going to say it that way because it's the only way that I can now hear it. Thank you, Matt, from the PlayStation Drive. All these links are available in the show notes. Remember to look after yourself and your mental health. Happy thinking, friends, and I'll see you in the next one.